love.
Agreed.
So, like, that's why I'm trying to work on a guide for it. Just it's simple enough to do, and yet it makes for a great beginner's run for the style. I haven't even rooted the unlocked game or the 100% for either of those type options. Like, it does have a lot. Anyway, let me know whatever you want to swap back over so I can start info for that.
Okay, ready to talk to stream then?
Yep, I am.
Alrighty, I'll switch the SG stream to live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, just gotta skip through a bunch of this just because I'd like to explain just some of the beginning stuff before the run. Also, hello again, everybody! I'm Mageius1, and I've actually got some help with commentary today with Derek here. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Derek GNC, and I am going to be doing some co-commentary today. So I am excited to be here. Do you want to explain the algorithms for timing for character selection, or do you want to go ahead and...
I haven't really even started yet. This is more of me trying to explain the whole reason why we have a lot of manipulation.
Okay.
And this, for those that are wondering, this is the current English patch, or the latest one, which is technically not allowed, for the speedrun. However, the old one from the early 2000s is. But there's a very, very, very important reason for that, which I will explain in a quick second. But just let me set this up to showcase this, as it has to deal with a glitch with enemy spawns. And I might add, we don't know how or why it happens. We've tried it out on console. Because of how obscure this game is, we're pretty sure it doesn't have a second version revision. But enemies are supposed to only spawn one at a time, except with the latest English patch for some reason. It's supposed to take 10 turns between each spawn, and because of that actually affecting things, it tends to make it a lot harder. So having to actually learn to actually prevent that, because, well, we'll explain during the run. But you want to explain the actual garbage data for haste?
Yeah, so haste is a little bit interesting. So that's part of your wait turn algorithm.
Yeah.
So the thing to talk about haste a little bit is, I think it would be a good idea to talk about the wait and the turn algorithm.
And while you're getting ready for that, give me 1 second, because I want to get this stuff going. Because I know it's going to take a while on that one to explain that one.
Yeah, so as with almost a lot of RPGs, a lot of characters, all of them in fact, have...
Give me 1 sec, because I want to start time in a second. So, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and finish on that one, because I got some text to mash.
Okay, so wait timing in a lot of RPGs have a speed mechanic. What this game has is a wait timer. So every character has a certain wait value. That is W-A-I-T. They're waiting for their turn. And they have a normal and a transformed version. So if they have a shorter wait time, that means they're going to turn more frequently. Because every round, it counts down. And when it hits 0, that means it is their turn. So it's basically taking those timers, and it's doing some mechanics behind the scene. And there's a lot of technological... There's a phrase in the mechanics guide that is used not a few times. It's called a pseudo-random timer.
Also, shout outs to the person that wrote the guide on that one. This run would not be as far as it was without it. Gotta love game facts.
I think the person who wrote this guide might be the person who made this game.
Nah. It's a Bon Presto, aka Bandai subset.
Was it a subset, or was it before a merger that was before a merger?
Nah, because it's the same people that made a lot of the Gundam games, and Bandai Namco owns Gundam.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So, I'm going to read an example from the guide, so it's a little bit easier to understand. But two characters can generally take their first turn. One character has a wait time of 14 at the beginning, so they've got 14 air quote rounds before they can go. The other one has a 7-turn wait time. So when it goes down by 7, the second character can go. 7 turns later, the first character can go. So it's going to alternate back and forth, not accounting for your enemy's time.
Which I might add is glitched. Because for some reason the enemies have actual data in the haste flag, which is not 0. So although our haste status gets removed on level ups and end of battles, the enemies for some reason have that haste status applied to them all the time. So they take more turns than us.
Yes. So basically a hasted character's wait time is 3/4 of what it would normally be. It's really it's a complicated mechanic, but at the same time, once like a lot of speedruns, once you get used to the mechanic, it gets easier to understand.
Yep, and just like you saw there on screen, enemies spawn in once every 10 rounds as long as there's not 4 on them. And there's only a maximum at most 8 enemies for each battle for the most part. So we take advantage of that a lot. Also, care to explain levels? Well, they just saw the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to cover levels. So, levels are not your traditional EXP basis. You're not going to be battling out the small little beginner enemies till everybody levels up. Every enemy is worth what you could think of as exactly 1 EXP. And every character needs the exact same amount of EXP to level up. So, to level up to level 2, you need to defeat 2 enemies with that character. That means, for clarity, that character has to be the killing blow. Everybody else can take a turn lowering their HP, giving them status effects. And that's great. That's awesome. That'll help that last person who gets the killing blow. Now, with this game, the routing is so that each person specifically gets a certain level at a certain time. So you're basically manipulating the levels that way. So that way you're able to get the level on who needs to have those levels.
Now, the fun fact I will add is because of that, that means it's also very flexible if you accidentally screw up. Get a crit, get the wrong, get a higher roll or lower roll, stat-wise. So it's very flexible in that regard to make up for that.
Mm-hmm. Which is a really cool thing. I kind of like that. So you're not just, you're not accidentally taking a high-level character and going, whoops, I accidentally, did the most damage, so now I get the EXP.
And even
it's all about that.
And even if that does happen, you can always work around it.
Yeah. Tactical RPGs are cool that way. I kind of love tactical RPGs. And I think that they are a undervalued game experience in the modern era.
And considering this one is based off of an old anime franchise, which is still relevant to this day. In fact, it's got a lot of complicated lore, and I'm not even going to try to explain it, because I don't know which of the multiple timelines this falls into on that one. Go ahead.
I was looking that up earlier. I was like, I want to know, because, okay, for full clarity, I have never watched Tenchi Muyo. I have never seen Tenchi Muyo. So I was asked by Mageius here, I'm like, hey, can you do some commentary? I'm like, you know what? I would love to. I don't know anything about this game, nor the anime universe, but we're doing it. But it's like 1992.
Also, looks like I got an interesting turn order. That's rare on that one for the enemy's rolls at the start, because it's usually based off of who you picked first, then going in turn order who you picked order for the first round. But if any other character but our starting character starts, that means the enemies rolled, let's say, interesting for the starting rolls. So this run's already getting off to a good start.
Hey, you know what? It'll level out, and I have faith.
I know.
You had talked about rolling, like stat rolling. Do you want to talk about like that aspect, or do you want to go into like life and the HP energy mechanic?
Up to you on that one. Although later on, I think you still might want to explain to people about the in-game universe. But as far as energy goes, you have 8 energy total. You get 2 every turn on that one, up to a maximum of 8. When you get the ability to transform, which is at level 3, which Tenchi will be getting, and about the end of this attack, as you need 6 for 3. It will also give him a full heal, although it won't give him full energy. That does allow him for having a new ability, as you get new abilities each level. Positive that there's only 8 levels.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I kind of 8 is an interesting number to choose from. I just looking at the EXP curve. There is a curve. It's like 38 enemies killed to reach up to level 8. Total 38 total, not scaling. So it's not 2 plus 6 plus 10. It is 38 total. If you were to guess, and you know, absolutely not knowing it's perfectly okay. How many? What is the average number of kills each character gets?
In fairness, I can actually tell you exactly, as the game actually tracks that for you under the stats screen. It's just to showcase that real quick. Here's Ayeka, so you'll have a big fat goose egg. It is the 3rd from the bottom. Although we try not to do that because, although it does help if you're having a hard time tracking, you sort of don't want to do that because it takes time and because of the pseudo RNG on stats. Because of how the stats are rolled. Which the only real major stats are attack and defense that are random.
Yeah, so that sounds like a perfect segue into talking about strength and defense, sort of. They are intricately tied, and what happens on level up is they're guaranteed to get strength and defense increases. What they get, however, is on the pseudo-random timer. But it's always within a range. So, for example, every character upon reaching level 2 will get 2 strength and defense or 3 strength and defense. So it is always the same number for both, but it could be 2 or 3, ranging all the way up to level 8, where it could be 5 through 9 for each stat.
Which is one of the reasons why you can actually go through and deal with a low value in strength. You just have to hope that you get that high roll at the very end.
Yeah. And because of the way the timer runs, it talks about bits of the timer, so that means we're talking bits and bytes, and we're talking about delving into and seeing the matrix, as it were. It can cause streaks for your stats. So if you level up a couple characters within roughly the same amount of time, about 2 minutes or so of each other, they could potentially all get the same number of stats. Which is cool if they're good, but
if they're bad. Which is one of those reasons why we have to be very, cautious early on, because we are getting multiple characters levels pretty early and pretty fast. Also, it looks like Ayeka gets to be helpful today. Because Ryoku just got her level 3, so Ayeka gets to take the opportunity to smack the enemy to end the battle. Getting some revenge for the fact that the enemy here kidnapped her little sister.
I was like, what is the rough plot of this game? Might be a decent time to talk.
It's been a while since I've played it in English, but the rough plot is typical day at the residents, Tenchi, Ryoku, Ayeka, and Mahoshi, aka Ryoku is the one with the gray hair, Ayeka is the one with the purple, Mahoshi is the one with the blonde hair, and Sasami, Ayeka's little sister, is the one with the blue hair. Also, fun fact, Tenchi is related to both Ayeka and Sasami through his grandfather, seen here. Complicated lore, I'll let you try to explain some of that in a bit while I work on the beginning of this grind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was looking it up because, again, full disclosure, I have full disclosure, not super familiar with Tenchi Muyo. So apparently, I'm gonna read this from Wikipedia. Could be wrong. Could be fantastically great.
Oh, trust
no
me.
way of telling.
Some of the wiki information is correct, and some of it is like multiple timelines, branching into multiple spin-off shows. This show is up there.
What I'm hearing is that Tenchi Muyo is the Gundam of martial arts animes.
It's also one of the OG shows, you know, with an actual harem. However, with most fan service stuff now, this is actually very fan service light. I mean, it has some, but it does not have as much as you would think. It's got more of the subtle type as compared to some of the later ones. And by later ones, I mean what you normally see now.
And you know what? For that, we're thankful. Okay, so a little bit about this game. It apparently begins the Misaki residence. Hey, we got that. And we're eventually going to get the spacecraft and other planets. Spoilers.
I mean, it's not even really a spacecraft. Also, shoutouts to me getting a crit actually costing a bit of turns here because killing one of the enemies that I'm supposed to let stick around to help speed up the turn count.
Yeah, let me interrupt myself on that story and talk about enemy spawns. I know we touched a little bit about that, but I'm going to talk about a little bit how the mechanics are
Feel free.
supposed to work, barring any glitches, right?
Hence why I showed off that thing at the beginning.
So, theoretically, at the start of each battle, the battle counter is set to a 0, right? And at the end of every character and enemy's turn, if there are fewer than 4 enemies present, the counter increases by 1. And once it reaches 10, the next time a spawn square is open, an enemy will spawn there, and the counter is reset to 0, and that enemy's weight is set to a range from 0 to 7. So, if you have one enemy left and you are managing to whiff it for at maximum 10 turns, you're gonna get another enemy. And it could take its turn immediately, or it could wait 7 turns. So that's an interesting mechanic. I can't think of very many tactical RPGs that have used that mechanic a lot. I know they have like flags when they summon more enemies, or we do a certain amount of damage.
Not just that, but it's also one of those things where they usually have, you know, the spawn tiles being a bit random sometimes.
Are the spawn tiles in this set like?
Yeah.
This is okay.
This is where enemy A spawns. This is B. This is C. This is D. We will actually.
I kind of like that.
We will actually be using that to our advantage in one particular battle, which is basically hell, aka the Washu fight.
I was absolutely noticing there was a key phrase in there. As soon as the square for the next spawn is open.
Yep.
Big bold letters, flashing lights, arrows pointing to it, saying, "Hey, maybe this is important."
Yeah, we can block those and prevent spawns. We don't do it as much because grinding, we want the enemies to appear as fast as possible and not have the camera move as much as possible because this game is old. You have no camera control. So that's...
This was PlayStation, right?
No, SNES.
Oh, wow.
SNES.
So yeah, Tenchi Muyo, 1992, by the way.
That was the original. That was the original show. I believe the game was 95.
Let's see. The game itself was 95 in Japan only. It never came across the ocean to North America.
Sadly, but I will say it is one of those games that a lot of people have played. This is along with like a game like Gundam, not Gundam, Gundam Endless Waltz and Sailor Moon Another Story, and the old Dragon Ball Z, fighting games. It's one of the games that I'm pretty sure almost anybody that was a fan of anime, once they heard this existed, they immediately if they knew about emulation, looked it up and tried it out.
Fair. I'm just imagining like 1992 trying to bring it around and get it involved. Or not 1992. Excuse me, 1995. I have a fondness in my heart a little bit for Japanese only games. You were playing this one. I've done a Hunter x Hunter game, so I can absolutely commiserate on the. Man, I wish we had.
Oh, trust me.
An official
Localization.
patch. Yeah.
And I think honestly, every fan of Earthbound has said that once or twice over a certain game on that franchise.
Yeah. No one has ever complained about Mother ever. I perish the thought.
I mean,
speaking my language. You are speaking my language on that one. So it's interesting to see, back then, 1995, there's a lot of things that you'd see coming forward into popular games such as like Final Fantasy Tactics, which is always really interesting to go back and see older games that you go, oh, this is where they get certain mechanics. For me, that is, as somebody who is a fan of video gaming as a whole, watching mechanics and how they came about and how they get passed down to the generations of video games.
Oh,
really fascinating.
I agree with you there. Now, what you see me do is take another fight at the woods. This is because it's a solid fight. It's not so much scripted, but we have spots to make things work. But the main fight we want is this hot spring battle here, because we can immediately kill enemies fast as anything, avoid all attacks, and essentially, just like use the RPG term for a old school grind tile, we needed a step-off tile. And essentially, out of the choices we have, that's the one that gives the most optimal EXP, to time ratio as a step-off tile.
Yeah, and because of the way EXP is calculated, it really doesn't matter if we're taking out monsters that have significantly less HP than what we're going to be going up against later.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of incentivized, as I would feel.
Yep, which is why we do this one, because basically 6 of the 8 enemies we can take out with a single hit, and with our fastest attack animation.
I like it. Now, are you going to... What level are you hoping to take them up to, I guess is the best question.
I will be actually taking both Tenchi and Ryoku to level 8, max level. However...
Oh, wow. Go ahead.
However, it is pretty easy to get them to that one. There are faster ways to handle that, but the thing is that it is just faster to get them to level 8 and more safe when it comes to the end game because of the final battles wanting to go straight to one of the enemies, and it's sort of like you want to kill all the enemies because they're going to be taking a lot more turns than you at that point. So it's just faster to essentially try to kill them all in one shot when we can versus not.
Yeah, and because they're going to have a whole lot more stats, because I'm assuming they have not done the amazingly brilliant mechanic of scaling enemies to your highest.
Nope.
Okay. I say that with deep sarcasm. I hate that mechanic with every fiber of my being. Listen, if I want to spend 7 hours grinding out on beetles in Area 1, that should be my own problem. Don't punish me with, elder dire rats later. I'd like to face the game and just sail through and say, thank you for giving me 50 hours in the starting zone. I'd like to go to the end game now.
I mean, in all fairness, it was a actual selling point for Final Fantasy VIII, and I think they still try to maintain the lowest level possible in the speedrun for that.
Yeah. Recently I have been looking at that one going, I just want to do that just for fun. Because I love breaking games, RPGs are my jam. So getting to level up and honestly sit on my couch, game in hand, Netflix on the TV, and just grind out a game, that to me is peak.
I mean, I used to do something like that listening to audiobooks.
That seems a little bit more fruitful of a use of time. I'm going to be real with you.
In all fairness, it's like, crap, I picked the wrong thing, so y'all get to see an attack for why this enemy is like that. And you? Okay, so I know I'm not going to get the ability to take the weaker attack for the next battle. Hence, why I quickly checked on that one. As Ryoku needs, I believe, 25 strength to make it a range and 26 to essentially get it, a guarantee with just her normal attack.
Fair enough. I can commiserate with that. Being a Earthbound runner, there's definitely some certain stats that are ranged that you do better than others.
Yep. And at least in this one, you only lose a little bit of time with the animations for just saying, screw it, I'm going to use the higher attack for some enemies just to guarantee the kill. Whereas if you want to gamble on a lower chance on the range, but save at least maybe half a second or so on an attack, feel free. In fact, it's actually encouraged in one of the later battles. It's why, at least on this particular route, we keep Tenchi and Ryoku at level 7. Sorry, level 6 and 7, 1 kill away from the final to get to the next level at the end, getting to the spaceship. It's deliberately to give ourselves a better range of not critting or not, overkilling one of the enemies we need for another character to kill.
Now, speaking on that, I want to ask the question.
Crap.
There's a line in here about mechanics guy talking about, hey, when you gain a level, your character's life points are fully healed.
Yeah, and I made a dumb mistake on that one with that, but Is there a
point in the run where you go, I am going to absolutely go in, Blaze of Glory, level up mid-gauntlet, basically?
Yes, actually.
As much as a gauntlet as you can.
Yes, there is actually a spot or two with that. There has been more in the run before, but and there are some other routes where that does actually become a bit more relevant, depending on things. As I said, there is some gambling you can do based on, the end game. Like, you could choose to not take Ryoku with you for the final area, but then you got, or not have her leveled, but then you got to worry about dealing with the enemies in the final area and hope that you can actually kill them without having multiple spawn or without taking the damage.
Fair. Now, while it's relatively light, what is the speedrunning community like for this game? I know we're part of Obscurathon. I was telling a friend about doing some commentary for this game. I've never heard of the game. Point.
It's just me, because our other runner hasn't really touched the game in a while, but at the same point, I've done a lot of research because of trying to actually write a guide, because the game itself is very simple to learn. It's very flexible too, and there's a lot of multiple routes based on how you want to gamble things. Do I want to risk this happening here? Do I think I've got this damage roll for stuff? Even this run alone, I have screwed up and made some mistakes here and there, but I am still on track to a decent time. Like, it is very flexible and very good for beginners wanting to try out this style of game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it going, you know, I can see myself at least giving it a good college try. Like you said, you've been writing a guide for it. I think I've seen you talking about it in a couple different places.
And I'm even trying to make, you know, some screenshots for the movements. Because it's really simple to pick up and learn. It's, like, if you want to talk about, like, a good beginners-friendly speedrun for this style of game, this is it. I mean, it's not that hard to learn. You have only a very little bit of leveling to do. And the leveling is incorporated along the run, and any mistakes, just like, okay, I got this kill on this person instead of this person, okay, where can I actually get this kill moved over to this? Or the opposite route on this one, which is, you know, you can gamble a lot more on the final area. Also, we're on our way to save Sasami. We've gotten to, like, the cliffs on that one. We're basically taking going to the back route, although it takes more encounters. The fact that we can kill enemies within a single turn, which you'll see right here for the first time, means that we can essentially, I won't say eat the time loss, but the time from just taking a single battle, taking an extra battle versus a less battles, but having to take multiple turns, ends up equaling out for a lot of them. And
That's really cool.
I mean, take a look here, which is one of the reasons why we leveled Tenchi up, is for his spin attack, and also extra damage. Since we're able to take out 2 of the 4 enemies here, that immediately sets up, by the way, Tenchi just got to level 6, which is 22 kills.
Yes.
But to give an example of one of the reasons why, because Ryoku also hit level 6 in the very last battle, so I now know she has 23 kills on that one. The fact that we can basically 2-turn this battle versus having to take like 3 or 4 turns to take out multiple enemies means that essentially it ends up being the same amount of time if we can take out if we could do 2 battles in like 3 minutes, and it took going with less battles the same 3 minutes to get one, skipping, you know, one of those, but still ending up at the same place, it ends up evening out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always posited that SNES games are either the best to get you involved in speedrunning, or the worst, because game documentation was not as always there, and SNES days was still relatively new for higher concept games, so no one had been able to study, you know, 1,700 hours of YouTube documentation of what makes a good mechanic or not. And so when you say, hey, learning this game is a great way to get involved with tactical RPG, it kind of tracks in that it was the SNES days. Like, there wasn't a complicated set of mechanics that you had to master to figure out, and there wasn't anything ultra convoluted to figure out a system and triple kill right there, not bad.
Not just that, but that means I gotta check Tenchi's strength. I have to
roll in monster stats.
Unless there was a high roll on that one, I've got to check his strength for one of the upcoming battles and decide how I'm going to affect things on that one. Because that damage range can affect some things based off of what we want to kill, when we kill. Also, shoutouts to the second battle we use Mahoshi. She will do nothing in this battle except for adjusting the spawn location of Ryoku. Since the game has specific spawn points for every character based on the where you are chosen, essentially that means in order, if we want to move a character to a different location, we have to fill that spot with another character. Mahoshi is here just to allow Ryoku for her spot there, and because she still is at level 1, has the lowest defense, and we are basically using her to position all the other enemies for this particular battle. Because level 6 Ryoku gives it a very, very, very useful ability, which you'll see during her next turn.
Okay. Now, I will note that it looks speedrunners, I'm looking at their stat block, as it were. They look like they have a relatively small movement range. Would that be a correct assumption, or?
Yes, for a lot of it is yes. Also, here is one of the reasons why we leveled up Ryoku. The old translation of the newest one calls this Beam Squall. This is a very large AoE attack. May take a few seconds out of the animation, but when you can essentially take out an entire enemy battle group in one attack, it's sort of worth it. And the reason why we use Mahoshi in this particular one is to allow the enemies to take out Mahoshi and then immediately position themselves around Ryoku so that she can do this.
Oh, wow.
I said that was for a particular reason. Also, the next battle is the hardest in the game. It is very, very, very hard to do. So much so that I can literally want to try to do it with my eyes closed at some point.
I was gonna say, whenever a speedrunner goes, this is really, really difficult. It either is really, really difficult and they are underselling it, or it's really, really not. They're overselling it.
Oh no! Take a look. This is the only thing we will do with Ryoku. Ryoku's turn. Hey, wait. And I forgot to hit the X button to essentially skip the animations. Sadly, that is the only type of animation we can skip is movement. And that is only in battle. Game does not have many buttons for it, but doing this, Ryoku barely gets hit, and then battle should be over unless one of the blue enemies survive. Hardest battle in the game! It is legitimately a battle that you could legitimately do blindfolded.
I love that.
Don't move, just do that and just... Now, will we get lucky and have them all die? Also, Ryoku will hit level 7 here, so 30 kills.
Nice.
I mean, because there's the upper route as well, which does work, which you can do that, it's just... 1 HP. 1 HP.
I mean, yeah, naturally.
But you lose a tiny bit of... 5 HP.
Oh, big difference. Yeah. That was close. I don't know how you made it.
But no. Also, shoutouts to rescuing Sasami. Ayeka was actually very worried. Lore-wise, they are several hundred years old. In fact, the youngest character in here is Tenchi. Yeah, he's like 17, I think. Even Mahoshi is on the older side. Then again, galactic years and that kind of stuff like that, so hard to tell. But even in the original Japanese, it's still several hundred years old. Tenchi's grandfather, although looking old, is actually just disguising himself to look old so that way people don't worry, how the hell are you not aging?
Wow.
In fact, his transformed ability is him basically pulling that back, showing that he's actually on the younger side. But, I mean, do you want to explain more of the lore, that you had to learn?
So, I did not get super far, but I can tell you what this game's about. I still have that up. I was watching a video on it, and it was talking about how it was like started out at the history of it, and I'm like, okay, this is it struck me as my first thought was, oh, it's Gundam or Macross, but martial arts. In that it has multiple universes and timelines, dubious canon, and I was like, alright, I'm here for it.
Also, multiple spin-offs, too. Which some of them do affect the different timelines. But the core one... I'd say is the OVA timeline, or original video animation timeline, as that's got the most spin-off and most actual future storyline pieces.
I have been doing a lot of study and research on the 90s anime, and it was talking about like how production affected art, but also how it affected stories. Of how they didn't have nearly as many guidelines or expectations, and that affected it. So like, looking back at
it really did allow for a lot of unique stories on that one. Same thing with the 80s.
I mean, that has a lot to do with, there's a whole thing you could talk about, what is it, the bubblegum time. Basically, it's like a time era of, like a post-economic downturn came back and everybody had more money, so they were spending it on electronics, and that's when we had a big electronic boom, and that's when we really started to get a whole lot more animation style. So that's when we start getting things like Akira, and we start getting 1992's Tenchi Muyo. So because of economics and how that works, it was really pushing forward technology and art. And then I would argue that anime and gaming is a perfect marriage of artistic endeavor and technological fortitude.
Oh, most definitely. And for those that are wondering, the reason why we are going out of the way here is to pick up a certain character early. That'd be Washu. If we're going by the OVA timeline, and actually in all the timelines, she is the one who created Ryoku. And is technically, I believe they actually do rest her as daughter, but it's kind of complicated. As in the OVA timeline, Washu is one of three basically high entity beings, which you would call gods, to the point of, you think of that, what would you say, like the God, what's his name from Dragon Ball Z? Super?
Tommy?
Nah, I'm talking Super. The little kid thing that basically everybody's afraid of.
I know what you're talking about. It's above, it's Zenny.
Yeah, think of her as like one of three of those. Involving multiple dimensions, with, ironically, Sasami being the vessel of one of the others. Because plot reasons. But, yeah, it goes into a lot of things on that one, but Washu's literally the kooky mad scientist. Anyway, I've got to be precise on picking characters here.
It's Zeno, king of all.
And this is deliberately done for a perfect order. This is not the hardest battle, but the hardest to truly maintain any form of manipulation.
Fair.
As
every speedrunner knows, manipulation is important.
Yep. As with this, we're trying to manipulate it so that Washu can get four kills here. As picking her up early starts her at a higher level versus just having her join later on. Also, please don't crit them. Good. This is the whole reason. This or the opposite attack where you choose to do a spin attack to try to hurt both of them is the whole reason why Tenchi is actually left one kill shy of level 7. And the same reason here for Ryoku, so that way it's more efficient that way to have her get level 8 here.
Okay.
This is it's purely to decrease the chances of a crit.
Fair. Now I'm reading here, I have the tech guide pulled up a little bit. It's saying that at the beginning that Washu gains 3 levels, but typically joins at level 1. So they typically join at level 4, technically?
Yep.
Is that accurate to say, or is it like, does it take the average characters and go?
Nope. It is actually set in stone on that one, depending on where you get the character. So she will always join at 4 as long as you actually get her here.
Okay.
It's we need her to be at level 4, so that way we have access to, well, one of the best abilities in the game, and one of the things that allows Washu to essentially help us out later on.
The cheer ability, right?
Yep. Her cheer ability essentially gives her the ability to essentially, well, pump up her attack, and any other character's attack. It is one of 2 buffs that we have access to, the other one being actually Sasami's haste abilities. I'm just going to call it that one, because there's several different definitions for it, but essentially, and the way that works is, if you haven't taken your turn yet, then you will get the haste ability applied to you during your first turn. However, if you've already taken your turn, your actual turn order has already been set.
Okay. And so, for clarity, the cheer ability that Washu has basically pumps up your strength about 1.5 times what it normally would.
Yep.
So if it's if your strength is 10, God forbid, your strength now becomes 15.
Yep.
Correct. Okay.
Pretty much, give or
I want to
take.
make sure that I understood how that, because I know some games do a weird thing.
Yeah, this game is one of them. I really am one of those people just like, yeah, I'm not going to look into the fine details. I'm just going to be like, this works, okay, then work from there and just get an average. The brain,
Yeah.
I do not want to have my brain go to mush, and I'm at least glad I don't have to actually worry about learning anything else major. So we're just, go ahead.
No, I think I'm here for the stat stuff. So I like looking at some of the stat information, and that's what I'm here for.
And that death on Sasami is actually intentional.
How does death? I notice it's not really super written about here. How does death affect?
Short answer is you do not get any kills. It basically just takes you out of combat. You will come back on that one there. So it really is just one of those things where it doesn't affect things that much, and you can see where hiding a enemy spawn point can be very useful. We're going to use that there. Washu's going to move there. Tenchi, hold on a minute. What's this at? 10 because of high defense. So I'm just going to... Yeah, I'm going to do this here. Washu can attack there. Ryoku can do there. Tenchi does it. Yep, I'll have that. I'm thinking like 2 to 3 turns ahead because I do not want to deal with that one enemy or let the other spider get spawned because it's a pain in the arse.
Fair enough.
So, the reason why we have Washu pick up 4 kills here is, just like all the others, she is limited to her exact piece here. And the reason why we don't want more of those spawns, more of the actual spiders to spawn, well, scorpions to spawn, is they're really slow. They take more turns than us, but they move so slowly, even skipping animations, that we cannot, deal with the fact that they will keep moving and keep moving the camera back and forth. So it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And
Their mere existence is burning frames.
yeah. Plus, also they have high defense, so it takes multiple turns to kill them without doing things on that one there. Although, positive note, now that Tenchi is at level 7, I don't really need any more kills with him or Ryoku. So now it's all about just help Washu get kills. With her having 4, we want to use this battle here to get 8. Well, not 8 total, but to get to 8. As she needs 38, and at present she is sitting at the equivalent of 14.
I'm guessing, well, beyond just getting up to level 8 just for HP and strength reasons. But is it the transformed ability?
Actually, with Washu, no.
Oh, okay.
It is purely HP and strength because of the fact of, well, let's just say we have a gauntlet to go through to get to the moon. And the fact that we need to have 2 separate parties, we need someone to fight one side.
Okay.
And Wasu just ends up being able to, with her cheer ability, power herself up to take out most of the enemies on one of the sides without needing anybody to help.
That's actually really cool. Now, you say 2 parties going to the moon. Is it 2 parties basically at one time, or it's like kind of like the It Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice effect, where it's like it's happening at the same time, but you're not swapping parties?
Same part.
Thinking,
It's basically you're divided up to same time, I'd guess, because
okay,
it's
I'm,
one
I'm
way
thinking
after
like
the other after the
Final
other.
Fantasy VI.
Yeah, pretty much. So you're not swapping between them. You're just essentially waiting on that one. And
Okay.
watch you just hit level 5. See, that'll put her at 16, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. 1 minute. Just doing some quick math. 18, 19,
Yeah,
20,
yeah,
22.
absolutely.
Yep. That'll work out. So you pick up both of these kills here.
Now, I think in one of the videos you had sent me to look over, you had a overlay that had counters. Was that for enemy kills?
That is actually to help viewers on that one, because I tend to do this just mentally.
Got it. Fair enough.
'Cause I don't know about you, but it's just a lot easier to just track things, good old-fashioned mind.
See, that's the fun part about the games that I speedrun. Don't have to do that because I will not remember that.
The only reason why I choose to do it is because, honestly, A, I helped with figuring out a lot of the routes for that one, but B, it's also just a bit easier than trying to actually turn and press buttons while trying to keep count of everything, and it takes too much time to actually stop and check the actual counts.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm here for it.
And I'll be the first to admit, yeah, I am not the person to be able to do that myself. I just tend to do okay, this is about where it is, and just use bullet points for that one, because the levels are via kills. It's a lot easier to track. You just gotta know, okay, I just got this ability, then I'm around here.
Yeah. I had that tendency of going, well, I should be in this range, so I'll just let gamer instincts take over at this point.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to try to track damage to save time here and there, because I know, I will probably forget something, and it's like, even though the old English patch is allowed because it doesn't have that bug on that one, it's still one of those things where it's just like, it's a lot easier to just get an idea of, okay, I'm around here, and just check, the strength value, and just get it, okay, it's like, if I know strength is here, I don't have to do this. Or, there's a higher chance of being able to do this. And hold on a minute, I need to check who's strength at the start of this battle. Let's see, 25 or higher, 25 or higher, 25 or higher. Let me see here. 26, good. I get a time save.
Nice.
I do not have to... Yep. Just took a minute on that one. Here is the second option. That's why on that one, I do not... Oh, wait, I didn't even need to do that. The force of habit, and let's just call it safety.
Yeah. That's what every time I do.
Essentially,
Safety.
wants you at level with 26, well, 25 minimum, but 26 is what you really want to see. She can take out these greenish robots using her transform ability without buffing herself. But safe than sorry. And the sad part is the reason 24 does not work is leaves them legitimately 5 HP. So having to do that multiple times just eats up time. Also, turn count.
Yeah. Because if you take any of them out, they start
Yep.
enemy counter.
And the more you take out, the more it speeds up on that one. Although it does give us more turns. And I'll take the safety on that one just in case on that one. If I wanted to play it a bit more rough, I could have just taken, a bit riskier. Could have just not done the buff and just had Watsu just go for a transformation ability, which gets her there, I think, a turn sooner. Which, because of the enemies attacking, even though they're barely doing, even though we have assistings on that one. Give me a sec.
Looking at this, I mean, really, May just looks at calculations and things like that. Ultimately, right now, this game is it's open for new runners to come in and to work on the game and play and enjoy it. Looking at the leaderboard up on SRC. Like Mageius said, there's really only about 2 players right now. Mageius being the most active one. So there's a lot of room to get in, put some work in. There's guides, there's resources, and every interaction I've had with Mageius is very amazing and terrible to learning and being involved in a speedrun that for a game that needs a lot more love. You know, we're here for Obscurathon, and it's showing off games that might not get the love that which they deserve. And it's really an honor to be a part of that. Say, hey, like, you know, I was telling my friends, like, hey, I'm doing commentary for Obscurathon, and like, oh, what game? And I'm like, oh, it's Tenchi Muyo. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I'm like, that's the point. It's games that have someone passionate about it, that is willing to show it off, and for such a
Sorry about that. Had to stop to help the missus with something. Luckily, it's one of those things.
Felt. I am very thankful mine took the kiddos to go hang out at her mom's house.
Yeah.
So I get to do this. So I can understand that.
And I picked the wrong target on that one, but auto-targeting on that one cost me a little bit of time, but you do that where it's just like, I know I'm going to have to eat an attack and a bit of movement, but, you know, she just got home from work, so, like helping her get her necklace off on that type of stuff, you know.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep, and now that Watsu has hit level 6, we should be good on that one. Now it's just going to be a coin flip as to who gets the extra kill for the upcoming battle. As we have reached the final boss.
Oh,
Not
wow.
really.
Oh, okay. Wait, I was looking at the estimate. It was saying 2 hours or stuff. What are we doing here? This is not a randomizer.
No. But essentially, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name. Misaki, I'm not even sure on that one. But essentially challenges Ryoko to a one-on-one battle. So we're going to move forward here. She's got a high enough strength. Let's see if we get lucky on this one. If we get lucky and Ryoko crits with a high enough strength, we save a turn. If not, we just turn around and actually smack her on the head with Ryoku's laser sword as a follow-up.
Definitely not a lightsaber. It's a laser sword.
No, to be fair, it's actually an energy weapon that she projects from her own body.
So we're talking like the bone blades from Kimimaro from Naruto.
Yeah. Yeah, but energy.
What lasers?
Oh.
No, I'm here for it. I love games that have like weird weapons. I love that. It's so refreshing to me.
Yep. And this is, we'll meet the true final boss, apparently a rival of Wasu's. It is one of the reasons why it's hard to tell the exact timeline on that one, since Wasu's had a lot of rivals throughout the years. It's, what, 600, 700, like, well over 1,000? I forget how many it is. Remember, OVA timeline, one of the goddesses of creation.
Yeah, it's normal for anime, yeah. Goddess, creation, ultra scientist. Yeah, I'm here for it, tracks. I like the scorpion aesthetic. I'm gonna be real with you there.
I mean, it does look nice. But right now, the one nice thing about this game is it accepts inputs for matching the text from every face button, the shoulder buttons, and even the D-pad.
I feel like that's really rare for a game to have speedrun and buttons, basically this forced dialogue like that.
I mean, you don't get, like, some things on that one, and the game does actually credit the voice actors from the show in the credits.
Huh. Is there voice acting? I didn't realize there was voice acting. I don't know if it's just I have the volume down super low.
No, it's actually more the whole fact of, like, each of them just speaks on certain things on that one. Crap, is it Washu Tenchi? Screw it, I could still do it either way. Picked the wrong order for character choice here, but it doesn't really matter as much. Also, we got Wasu's final ability, at least for non-transform ability, are Wasu dolls, or Wasu-chan dolls, depending on that one, which is very useful. Normally I would have had Tenchi go first, but it doesn't. Hold on, let me check. Range 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me double check range one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, only here. Took me a second to just remember the range. Best to be safe than sorry, because it means the enemies will actually go ahead. And now this is one of the rare examples of seeing a character transform. Either way, Wasu would be going first anyway for every turn after the first. Now we're going to transform Tenchi. This is one of the only times you'll see him transform. There's a handful of them, and it used to be that you would see him transform a lot more. Also, shoutouts to our other runner for coming up with this strategy for one of the later battles. I basically just adapted it to be able to work here because it's faster than having Wasu go first by herself. You may think that did not deal a lot of damage, and it technically did deal a lot more than you would think. That was more of a low roll.
Fair. Because attack is based off of roll.
Yeah. At this point, we don't really care if Wasu dies or not. This is more just a way to... 1, 2, 3... Yeah. I'm going to move Tenchi forward. I'm just going to move Tenchi forward once more just to make sure that I didn't screw up the damage range on that one. By that I mean movement attack range. It's been a while since I've played the game. And in fact, I was practicing earlier, just remembering the actual manipulations. So don't expect this to be world record, unless I get really lucky early on. Well, late game, I should state.
I believe. Wow, that was a big chunk of damage.
Yeah, but that tells me also the AI, the enemy is very low on health.
The desperation attack.
No, more along the lines of, if Wasu didn't kill with that, it was very little damage left.
Fair.
I mean, there are some times where you can just tell, like, okay, this should have killed. A little bit behind than I'd like, but still, sub-hour Earth isn't bad. That's why I said it's like it's nowhere near PB level, but still good enough in a marathon setting style thing, because you really don't need to reset as much. It's just more of you want to make sure you have a certain range of at least 42 or above strength with Tenchi or Wasu and Ryoku having something higher just for the end game, because that's one of the reasons why Ryoku is actually brought up, is because you want the ability to actually make sure you can kill the final boss in a reasonable amount of time. Which I will be playing it safe and actually just taking out the other enemies with it around the final boss. Just because it's one of those battles where I have to figure out whether or not it's worth killing them all or just going straight for the enemies. I mean, for the final boss, but it's like turn order versus this, versus this, versus this. And it's after a gauntlet of 6 battles.
Oh, wow.
No saves.
Also, shout out to that background that is, I feel like for its time, really advanced that is moving fast.
Yep, and now welcome to the Space Gauntlet battle. Also, Mizuki, whoever her name, has now joined us as a playable character, and watch who's going to solo this entire side. The minimum level needed to be able to do this is 6. I've tried it 5. It would need a high roll on the strength. And the reason why we do not need to worry about Wasu getting any more EXP, though we can hope that sometimes he will pick up the extra kill, so she gets her level 1 battle sooner, is for this one here, is basically because this side here, she has to kill 4, 5, and then 4, memory is correct on that one. Anyway, the reason we take a buff here is so she has enough to one-shot these scorpions now.
Now, how far would you be? I'd say roughly halfway?
What, in here?
Yeah.
Run-wise, I'd say about halfway-ish. A bit more than halfway on that one there. Which is why I said still sub-hour, which isn't bad. Just looking at the time. That one, I would prefer it to be a lot sooner. But, again, some mistakes here, getting an extra turn there. Added, did add a few things on that one. But then again, being a little rusty.
Well, I was gonna ask, looking at enemies' health, like the pink purple ones are looking like 14 health compared to your 128. Is that just because you have grinded out levels, or it feels
They
like
just
they're
have high
really
defense.
low?
They have 84 defense. If you look at the top right, you can, when you see their health bar, you see their defense. That's the furthest of the two numbers. The first one is attack strength.
Okay, because I was like, man, 14 seems really low halfway through the game.
Yeah, 84 defense kind of mitigates having low health.
Oh yeah, no, that tracks out.
And now we're going to use Sasami and Tenchi on this side. This is deliberately so Tenchi can get his last levels, as well as making sure he gets the haste ability. Now, I've got to remember the exact movement for this. As I said, it's been a bit. It's here, over there, da 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 da. Let's see, yes. Ooh, also 37. Ooh, at least I don't have to worry about the minimum roll of the actual minimum amount of strength, which is 36 for Tenchi after all levels are done. Do you want to explain his range?
Tenchi's range on his movement or
Strength.
speaking? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So right now, Tenchi, his strength right now, level 7 to 8. So 7, we're looking at, he could have a range of 31 to 43 strength, which is a big difference, considering how damage is calculated. And then moving from that, level 8 is 36 to 52. So if you roll low, you're gonna have a whole lot harder of a time. You're gonna be 20 points lower than where you really like to be for your strength.
And on average, I have found the lowest I think I've seen is either 41 or 40. But even then, it's like those, it's really hard to finish out a run without losing multiple times. But that's why it's like if you're in striking range, it's a lot easier to go for it on that one. And at a 47 and at a 37, the minimum amount that I know I will get is 42, which is very high enough to finish the game. You'll lose a little bit of time, but it's overall like solid. Ooh.
Now, is there any points in the game where you look at it and go, hey, I'm getting ready to enter my grind section, and my strength is looking low. Assuming you're grinding up for PBs and everything. There's a point where you go, alright, it's time to reset this run. My strength is too low for this point.
Honestly, that would be about this point here.
Okay.
But that's also at this level here, it's also one of those things, it's like, it's worth going like 1 to 2 extra battles if it's very low, and, oh, looks like I'm gonna get a time save here.
Hey,
But,
you didn't sound pleased about that.
yep. Well, it's more that I would have loved to have gotten the crit and got it all 4 of those killed on the first round, but you take what you can get there.
Fair. I know in certain games, like, there's points where it's like, alright, we're getting ready to reach a point, like, my stats aren't at this particular level that I'd like, I might as well just reset.
Yeah, the positive note is you can get a sense of what it might be very early on, because the grind to level 6 for 2 of our 3 final characters, so you can get a sense of if this is very low, if this has a shot, once you hit level 7. And since we do that relatively early on enough, it doesn't mean that... It sort of means it so that way you can decide on that one. And since we already have to take an enemy spawn here anyway, it's just easier to save the time and get rid of the extra enemies early on, so that way we get the less enemy actions. Because if you can't tell, just like you were mentioning at the beginning about how the wait time, and as I mentioned about how for some reason the enemies have haste.
I'm sorry. Repeat that. I'm sorry.
I was saying at this point you can see how, the enemy's taking a lot of extra turns over us, and that how, because we already have to deal, because this battle's already going to take 10 turns anyway, it's just faster to get rid of the enemies sooner versus later.
Yeah. I can agree with that one. Yeah, they're getting a lot of turns.
Again,
Style, though.
non-zero points in haste, non-zero garbage data in the haste stat for the enemies. They don't have any way to get it, but also this is the one example of where you still bank on the level up.
Nice. Okay. I know. Yeah, I was asking about that earlier.
It's
I
namely,
like their design.
for this one, it's more just because of knowing, like, why you don't need the buff. Because if you were to take the buff, you would lose it there, since you lose buffs at level up.
Interesting. Level up is almost like I'm kind of viewing it as, and maybe mirror is death is as if your character did not participate in the battle.
Yep.
The effects that they did are there, but it's as if they didn't, because if you got 3 kills during that battle, you didn't when you died.
Yeah. Pretty
but
much.
It looks like level up is kind of it basically resets you to the beginning of the battle with all the effects, but it gets rid of buffs, it gets rid of all of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Some degree. And let's call that movement manipulation for this particular one. Please? Please? Yeah, let's call that manipulation. Getting the good pattern here. As this battle can, sometimes the enemies will all group up, sometimes they won't, but you hope for something similar to this so you can just spin attack and then hurl a stick at the last one. And Tenchi just hit level 8. So let's see what the final roll for him is. Because this will determine a few things late game. I'm just going to have Sasami wait here. Other enemy will move here. Oh! Oh, baby. That is a high roll on Tenchi. 46 is gigantically... It is very rare. On average is a 42 to 43. And that's just taking, the math into consideration.
Yeah. That is really good.
I'm going to play it safe here because I can't remember if we're... I'm pretty sure I can do this without there, but again, I'm a little out of practice. And I'd have to go rewatch my PB just to remember the small things. I can remember the manipulation, but the smaller things as to whether or not I need to take certain things, that's a bit of a different story. But that is the one fun thing about this game, is that it is a lot easier to, learn things. Yeah, do that there,
Yeah, I was, when you had to step away for a second, that's what I was saying, is like, hey, this game it's open for people who are honestly learning it, of like, coming in, giving it a try, there's guides, there's resources.
It's very flexible on the route.
You're around.
And it's also very flexible on the route, too, because based off of your strength, what you want to do, and do you want to gamble on certain attacks later on, or the rolls. Like, I could go Ryoku hitting level 7, and just wait, have Tenchi and watch, basically not have her get any more kills. But, essentially, in that case, I'd be flipping a coin for the final area as to whether or not I could get Ryoku the one to finish off some of the later kills.
True. This background is really mesmerizing, I'm not gonna lie.
It's good for the SNES. It's nice swirling, too.
It very much reminds me of a couple of the background in the RPG Breath of Fire.
Oh, good old Breath of Fire.
Oh, such a good game.
Such a good series.
I can only speak for the first two.
The third one is good. I haven't finished it because my copy likes to act up for some reason. Nothing wrong with the disc, and I know it's an official disc on that one. It's just... it's complicated on that one, and I have to do some shenanigans just to get it to actually continue to load during parts of it. 4 was fun, though. Also, shoutouts to 4 now being on GOG.
Ooh, very nice. I need to go check that out.
Yeah, last I heard it was on sale for $10.
Ooh, not bad.
4 is actually kind of fun. It's not the craziest of them, but it is still a very fun one to play. Let's see if I remember the movements for this one correctly. This is the one battle I was worried the most about screwing up.
Is it just me, or did like the game's colors shift?
Don't know on that one. It's hard to tell.
It almost looks like it might just be the Discord stream. It looks like almost like the light of the, never mind. It was just me. You can all ignore what I was saying. It was just me. I was like, that's a really weird color. Like, interesting. Like, that's kind of like a lights out mechanic, but it's weird that the text boxes are doing weird things.
Well, that's part of the game itself, actually. I'm not even joking there. It is actually part of the game itself.
Huh.
Is it here? No, trying to remember. No, it's here, attack, let the others come, and then do that one. Because you want to actually lead the one enemy that's been staying put to try to come closer. Because this is one of the rare battles where you'll see Tenchi's level 8, which is a very large AoE attack. It's level 8 transformed ability, I should state. And having to hunt down the last enemy can be very, very, very frustrating. And come on, game. Oop.
Now,
That's the
quick
wrong
question.
thing. Sure.
And I think it's going to be answered like right here. Transformation does not take a full turn, does it?
It takes a full turn. You cannot move. If you move, you cannot take it.
Okay, interesting.
And looks like I'm going to have to deal with one of the enemies running away.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. Apparently, stream was saying it is fixed now. For clarity, it is fixed now.
Good, good. It's annoying on this one too, just because of having to deal with one of the other enemies. Hopefully this will kill them all. And because these enemies get more attacks than me, it's kind of 50-50 on that stuff. I screwed up. I got part of the manipulation, but not all of it. But at a high attack value, that should take care of all 3 of those. This is the power of actually having a very high strength roll.
These monsters remind me of Mageius from the Mega Man Star Force game.
Haven't played that. I have not played that particular one, but I have played a lot of the RPGs.
Maybe you can agree with me here. I kind of wish we'd gotten more, or just the.
So welcome to the moon.
Ooh. Now, is it a better moon than the Final Fantasy IV moon?
No, sadly.
Oh, no bunnies. Got it.
Well, you do have Ryo-Oki. It's.
I feel like that's a technicality, but I guess I have to take it.
I mean, they love carrots. Sadly, you don't get to see me beat up evil carrots anymore. Except in this, well, in this particular route. One of the others, you still can see it. And it is still an option. If you want to take that as an alternate battle for stepping off of the hot springs, so then you have to take an extra one, but it's still in there. It's still fun to see. Anyway, because Tenchi has level 8. Yeah, it's here on that one there. Wait there. Yep. It's one of those things. It's like having to double check and remember, like, is this the correct spot? And it's like visually notice, and it's like, oh, yep, it is. That's the one nice thing about this game. It's got a lot of good visual cues for where you might want to stand, the setup stuff, without really having to crane your head to actually get adjusted to the angle of tilt. Because of the isometricness of it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but it's like, it is a lot more forgiving. than most. So we're going to take a spin here. With this high strength, we'll definitely kill 2 of them. The other one will be very weak. It will die during Tenchi's next attack. If we're really lucky, it'll die here, and we can just hurl a stick, but that's...
Ooh,
It's...
that was really close.
Yeah, I'll just take the spin and hurl the stick. And hurl Tenchi's sword attack at it. So this will finish off these 2, and we'll just have to do one more attack to them to finish it off. I'll use the sword attack just to guarantee it, because I don't feel like running over, seeing its exact health, or going for it. So I'm just gonna do the...
Full send it.
Yeah, pretty much. Just, it's good enough. It guarantees the kill. And it's a fast animation.
Hey, I'm here for it.
And in fact, seeing their health, it's probably better to do that. We're a coin flip with the spin, and the normal attack would not have done enough. Also, I will add, this battle here it's got a personal soft spot for it here, because this was the first battle I was actually able to find manipulation for.
Ooh. So how did that happen? How did you find that?
Ironically, trying to do come up with a good time for the newer English patch, because at the time neither didn't know that it actually was bugged.
Huh, okay.
So it's one of those things. Just like also, Watcher should be able to do that without having to take the stop for a strength boost. But because these enemies don't move here, it's more about just, okay, where can you choose to stay without them hitting you? The REH should be good. And, wow, Watsu's going to have a high strength this game. And the...
So,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Y'all good.
I was gonna say, I generally try to ask this for a lot of people who comment, but how did you get started in running this game? Like, being as it's a more obscure game, how did you even find this game, think to start running it, what's the history of it?
Honestly, it was one of those things I learned, came up with it because needed another game to submit to another marathon. And crap, I screwed up that one, so I might have to deal with an extra enemy, but if I'm lucky enough, it won't be that hard. I did the spin attack when I meant to do sword throw. It's okay. It happens. I'll probably have to deal with one extra enemy, but Wasu should be close enough to kill it. Also, this is where Wasu gets level 8 if she did not win the coin flip earlier on the one boss. By coin flip, I mean her ended up being the one to kill it.
Yeah.
And in this instance, I will probably lose a tiny bit of time due to that. But that just means Watsu's going to have to move up here and do that there. And lucky enough, did have a turn to spare. Good. Good. It's always hard to tell with this one because the enemies get so many extra turns. It's sometimes harder to keep track of the late game enemies just for the turn count for these things. So I just say, F it. I know I'm within this window. Here's hoping that I made sure that it wasn't too far.
Can respect that.
Also, I need to make a save here. So remember what I said about there being a gauntlet?
Yes.
That was the last save. That was the last place you could save in the run.
Okay. So how many battles are we looking at for the end of the run?
Let's see here. We've got this one. Let's see, we've got this one, the Ryoku, that's 2. 4, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
Some of them are pretty easy on that one to do. In fact, I'm very happy about the Ryoku battle actually having manipulation because, that battle does get extra spawns, but the other problem is that if you kill the real Ryoku, that's an immediate game over.
Oh, yeah, that's not great.
And that's after a actual extra battle with this one, so I sort of don't want that. And there's more that spawn with them, because there's like the real Ryoku and some clones, and the clones can spawn more. If
figure out which one is real, or is it just kind of a...
nope, there's a way. Shirt color.
Okay. Oh, shirt color. Oh, you know what? That was... I feel like it probably was obvious at that point.
Yeah, the thing though is that you just need to, position it so that way you don't take her out, and there's ways to do that. And essentially, we manipulate it so that Tenchi is set up in such a way that he can spin cut, if we're lucky, 3 of them, and then the second spin cut will kill those 3. If not, we just have Washu punch one of them and Tenchi smack one of them to finish. So we're going to use Tenchi's kick again. Oh, oops, wrong attack. Second time loss on the menuing. Yeah, I remember where it is. It's just one of those things that's like force of habit when there's only like 3 options on there.
No, I am not going to be on throwing rocks about me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm decent enough at it, but I will openly admit, no, I am not the best at menuing. And I will, honestly say, like, yeah, if that makes me, not the best RPG speedrunner, then I'll take it, because I'll do, be good at the other stuff. And yay, got the crit there, so we get to save a turn.
2-turn battle. That is not bad.
If we didn't get the crit there, it would take Washu's next turn. She would move forward and hope to hit the doll on that one, or Tenchi would smack to finish off. But now we're up to the Ryoku clone battle. Ironically, there's a couple setups for this, which does involve me actually having to buff Washu, but that's more because the enemy tracks what characters' stats are to some degree, alongside it deciding how to choose enemies based on who was selected earlier in the turn order. So that's another positive for why we'll choose some characters in certain order versus others, not only for their spawn location, but for the fact that the enemies will attack them first.
Yeah, because it was saying that if you choose a character later in the order, tend not to go for them.
Yeah. So sometimes you want to take advantage of that to get some enemies set in certain positions faster, and sometimes it's also worth just having characters be there for the actual weight order as well. In this battle, you will see Ryoki being used, actually. Although, remember slots 3 and 4, order-wise is going to be a pain, but there's a backup either way on that one. Just remembering, I believe it's Tenchi Washu, Sasami Ryoki, I believe, or is it? It's Tenchi Washu. No, it's there, if I recall correctly. Or if I have it reversed, then Ryoki will be the one on the outside versus Sasami, but I couldn't. Oh, got it. Remembered it.
Awesome.
So we're just gonna have. If I had mixed up the last 2, it wouldn't matter as much. It just means that I've got to move them to different spots, and there's a chance for one of the Ryokus to move versus other stuff. Ooh, a nice 70 for Tenchi on that one. Anyway, Sasami's gonna move right here. You don't need to move her, but it's for allowing her to basically block one of the Ryokus from moving to a space.
Okay.
Same thing with Ryoki moving here. It is purely so that way they will not move to certain spaces. Because
Kind of forcing their hand there.
yeah, pretty much. Trying to remember if I was supposed to move Ryoki. Nope. Sadly, this does take out Ryoki. F's in chat for Ryoki. It's as cute as anything. They're cute as anything.
Got a look at your hair. I was noticing that.
Yes. Move there. Sasami will get her turn next. In which case she will move forward. Then Sasami's going to move here. Then Washu's going to buff herself up. This is actually so one of the enemies does not move. That one there.
Now, I'm gonna go ahead and give a guess that the real Ryoki is actually the one with like pink sleeves.
Yep, the real Ryoku one with this pink one.
Okay.
And, hoping that they would have already taken out Sasami by now, but turn order. Well, I would say this has never happened before, but I'll have to go here then and just spin here. Because ideally, we would have hoped that one of them would have taken out Sasami by now, but turn order on that one. So that means I will have to deal with at least one more round of attacks. That way, I should have moved Ryoki one more space forward. But again, strife-wise, it just means that I have to move some stuff around. Don't mind me. I need to take a drink.
Hydrate. I have been hydrating like a champ. It is getting warmer. So the hydration is key.
There we go. Positive note, it does take an extra turn or two, but you get there.
It's your hydration turn. There you go.
It's as long as the the real Ryoku does not move, then we're good. Because having to take them out one at a time is a pain, and the spin attack basically letting us hit multiple enemies within a square with Tenchi in the middle really does help.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that AoE effect.
It's one of the reasons why, like, originally we had it rooted in that everybody that would use speed level 8, you know, you'd wait till level, you know, you'd power up to the max, you'd use the end game AoE buffed up so that way you could guarantee stuff for some of the later battles, but turns out if you position stuff properly, you can take out some of the enemies without needing to do that. Also, welcome to what I like to call Dimension X.
I thought we weren't battling Mageius today.
I mean,
Could be.
yep. Oh, it's just...
Turns out that Earthbound has been in the Tenchi Muyo Game this entire time.
And I had to pick that correct order for positioning purposes, and also turn order. Because we're going to essentially buff up Tenchi. I mean, we could do a different order, but this is to allow Tenchi to get buffed up, so that way when the enemies move close, he will have his first turn, well, his second turn, with the ability to actually, hold on a minute, I'm screwing up my menuing here. Essentially, he'll have his first turn, well, his second action, with the enemies surrounding him sooner than Ryoku, so he can get in 2 spin attacks versus Ryoku's 1 normal attack. Fast, like, it's basically fast enough so that way we deal more damage.
Okay. You gotta have the positioning and the timing of it. I'm here for it.
Also,
kind of like the demon chocobos. Throw that out there.
I mean,
Once again, gotta love the background for this. This is like, it is
also shoutouts
very
to
trippy.
positioning so Sasami takes the hit, clearing a space.
Oh, perfect cross guard right there.
Yeah, preventing to get the three enemy hit, but it will take the 2. Oops. Look away for a second and I forgot. Nope, need to move 1 down. Yeah, the time... They are changing when you make mistakes, but it is what it is. We're going to move here. buff Ryoku. If you're wondering why I don't buff multiple characters multiple times, it's because the buffs only work once.
Yeah. No stacking. Because that would get broken fast.
It looks like I'm not going to be able to get all three of them in there as well, so I'll take out both of those, have Ryoku attack there, and hope that I get the last one before another spawns. It happens. It happens. At least I should hopefully save some time on the final battle, having a high strength and going for the safety there. As I said, this won't be a PB, but this is more about showcasing just how cool of a game this is.
Yeah, absolutely. I am all for the marathon safety. You know, having a good time, having fun. Honestly, first and foremost, that's like why everyone comes together for such marathons. Have some fun.
Also, nice that high strength roll coming in clutch for that one there.
And will it come in clutch again? Let's find out.
Well, considering where Ryoku is, should hopefully be close enough on that one. Wasu, high strength roll will be good enough on that one there. Ryoku. Okay, go for there. I'll go for the laser on that one there. See if it won't kill, but it will be good enough that hopefully if I Speak of the devil. Yeah, time save. We cannot manipulate crits or our stat rolls. What we can manipulate is enemy positioning for a large chunk of it, so you just do what you can do. For as simple as this game looks, it is actually quite, complex, but yet fun to run.
Honestly, it looks really good. Like, mechanically, it looks very simple. Like, mechanically, underneath the hood, the pseudo-random generation timer bits and things like that. You get super deep into it. The mechanics get more complicated, but, surface level mechanics look really fun, and also, again, shout out to this background. It's putting in work, but does make me question. I wonder if it's causing frame rate loss. In-game one, causing game lag.
It's hard to tell on that one. Buff Tenchi up here. The Ryo-Oki clones here are actually pretty easy to take out. In fact, with a high Tenchi attack, I might be able to, well, probably not one-shot, but set it up so that way Tenchi can move in and actually swing to possibly kill both of these. That's the other reason, turn order. And God, I keep forgetting that I'm hitting the wrong way for the menuing, but yeah. Again, is what it is. This is already not going to be a PB, but again, don't you hate it when you get those good rolls on bad times?
Right. No, I've been a victim of that one. Where it's like, my menuing or my spawns are fire today.
And then
but my performance is not.
Yeah. But that's the one thing about these styles of speedruns. They're so fun to do.
But they don't look especially punishing for it. Where it's like, that's what keeps me out of some games where it's like, here's a 4, 5, hour speed run. It's like, by hour 2, it better basically be on rails because I don't want to mess things up at hour 4.5. And go, cool. I sat down for 4.5 hours and botched it up 30 minutes from the end.
You should have seen my first run that I had to do with that one. That sort of happened. I was over by 40 seconds.
Ooh, that's not bad though.
It's more of just ended up getting hit by a stray thing going out of the second to the last mission, and had to redo that one again.
Yeah, I was like 40 seconds in the grand scheme. I have ran randomized marathon before. those are, no matter how much you vet the seat, those are
Brutal.
scary.
Positive note here, and this is one of the other reasons why it's possible to consider having Ryoko at level 7 for here, is because this battle here, so you can pick up at least 3 to 4 kills, which is almost half a level, to level 8, so essentially it does give the opportunity for her being at level 8 this late into the run to give extra damage for the final battles. But it's more of a, do you want to take a coin flip this late?
Yeah, I would posit no.
For myself, no. If it ever becomes necessary in a speedrun, I know I'd tap out on that one.
Go for world record time since it's competitive. Yeah, I can understand. That sets Tenchi up for that one. I always forget that it's Tenchi 3, Ryoku 4 for this one because of the other 2 battles. You're wondering where the background budget went. It's in this area. Every battle, they've had a different battle animation in a different color. And it is getting to the point where it is Earthbound levels of, like, backgrounds. Where it's like, oh, you went hard on these backgrounds. Okay.
And I screwed up buffing Ryoku instead of Tenchi, but it doesn't matter on that one, because in all the grand scheme of things, it'll still work out. It just means it's going to take an extra turn, and Tenchi won't get the initial extra damage here. Well, an extra turn here, but it's the whole fact that Ryoku will get her Beam Squall early on, as I was able to buff Tenchi versus Ryoku on... It'll take a Beam Squall without being powered up, but at the same point, with hitting at least 2 of the enemies there, it should be able to work out. Luckily, there also isn't any enemies that spawn on this one, so you don't have to worry as much on that one. It's just more about trying to get rid of them as fast as possible.
Okay. So the game understands, hey, we're we should start maybe easing up just a little bit. Not have the spawns, to be very clear. Not have the spawns.
Yeah. It's not going to ease up on that one.
Yeah, ease up was the wrong word. But,
oh, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. It's more just, in this case, it's positioning. And with Ryoku like that, okay. Barely in range, works out. Although not going to be full damage. It's like trying to remember the exact positioning of that one, and on an isometric grid, it sometimes is hard to do.
Yeah.
Although I would have loved to have had this buffed, but, it should hopefully at least kill one of them. Yep, the weaker of that one there, move there. Also will... Once you can buff Ryoku, Tenchi should be able to kill the second one, just calculating 2 to 3 turns ahead.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to...
That is a skill that I wish I had more.
The main way I've learned it is I do a lot more action game speedruns where you have to think about like where enemies are going to be. So
okay, fair enough.
If you're doing a speedrun where like the way you actually speedrun it is to actually try to actually make sure an enemy is not going crazy. Well, I shouldn't say crazy, but like positioning wise is not like going to such a level that you're like having to adapt a lot more.
Yeah.
Goody. I did not realize I got that spot open. Works for me. So all that's left is one enemy, and Ryoku will be able to, well... Yeah, so he's going for the laser. Ew. Yes, they're going for the laser. By 3 points on that one.
That is gross.
I mean, still within estimate on that one there. I would have preferred to have this be a bit cleaner, but, again, nothing you can do. And now we're in the final area. The final area. And our boss...
Wow, the escalation of this vehicle has been... It looks like a scorpion. Hey, it's got a fist. It's a tank.
And we still gotta get him out of there. In this instance, if Tenchi had not rolled high enough, I would have gone for Ryoku. But with Tenchi this high, I'm gonna take the opportunity to use Tenchi on this battle, as Ryoku transformed does get a higher movement range. But at the same point, it's more that Tenchi has a huge ass strength bonus right now, so I'm going to actually go for it and hope he gets his good damage value rolls. Because Ryoku's level 8, which you have yet to see, is basically she grabs the enemy in a giant hand, which is the highest attack value we get in the speedrun. But at the same point, it's like, I'll risk it without it, just because Tenchi's got such a high strength value. I'm gonna move Washu down here. I'll take the buff just in case Washu needs to actually go in for an attack, because he's also got a high attack value. Ryoku being 2 points lower, which is still above average. But it's better than it could be. Now Tenchi's going to go forward during his next turn, kick attack again, and then kick attack again. And if he needs to basically smack a sword, then he'll do that too. Oops, I keep forgetting the ranges. It happens. It's also after 11 here, and I already had to do a very action-oriented one just before this, so... 2 back-to-back runs, one of them being action-based, the other one being more menu and strategy-based. The two sides of the mind.
Putty at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. So you try to do the best you can to remember things on that one, and I do what I can there. Now, let's see.
I'm here for it. I can understand that.
Let's see. Will I get a crit? Probably not. If we're really lucky and you get a high crit there, then you can actually 2-cycle the boss. This should be in Wasu's range. Yeah, that'll work though. Wasu will get the doll kill. And I'll play it safe for the final boss and just kill all the copies of Mitsuki / however her name is supposed to be pronounced, since they've used both things for it.
So this is the final battle then?
Yes.
Now is it in the traditional RPG where it's like final battle, phase 1, phase 2 sort of situation? The Kefka, the Sephiroth.
Ironically, no. It's just
Wow. Okay.
It's just 1-on-1. You just have 4 enemies. 3 of them are clones of what's her name, and then you have the final boss. You can choose to take out the 3 enemies, or you can just go straight for the final boss. Which is why it is a toss-up as to figuring out which is faster. But we're going to go this, and this for the order. And as I said, I'm going to play it safe and technically get rid of the enemies.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Playing it safe is, I think, long-term, like, marathon safe, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Considering all the mistakes I've made here and there, and the time losses, not a bad time overall for now. Oops.
Yeah, no, it's looking pretty good.
So I'm also doing a half safe, half unsafe route on that one there. Not gonna be PB, but it is going to be close to a PB, which is something you can enjoy at least.
I'd like to point out, unless it's not up to date, PB would also mean it would be your world. It would be the world record for the game.
Actually no. Oh, yes, it would be, but It would be, but at the present, it's like not gonna happen. I'm like,
Fair.
it's like I am like at a 144. Like current is 147 and change.
Yeah,
Well,
140, yeah, 140.
pretty much close enough.
Yeah, no, I had the speedrun page open.
So it's that kind of like, you know, it's not gonna happen, and that was without killing the enemies. So even with all the mistakes on that one, it's still not that bad in sub 2.
No, not at all.
And that's the one good thing about this speedrun. It ends up being a lot more consistent nowadays. I will do a little bit of damage here. I'll have Tenchi... I'll transform Tenchi, use his ultimate attack, hopefully getting rid of them. And then basically, I won't say gang up on the final boss, but gang up on the final boss.
Is there enemy respawns?
No,
Or not in this one? Okay.
not in this one. The game's kind here. It only gives you the 3 enemies to deal with.
Nice.
This is also one of the other reasons for Ryoku as an option because, well, excuse me, Ryoku can go through enemies. Tenchi can't. So going straight for the final boss, if the enemies don't block you, well, you can go for it. If they do, well, then you have to get them to move, and that's kind of hard to do. And I am not going to save state and try to figure out a good on average for this battle, considering how deep it is in a gauntlet of battles.
Yeah. Just a risk. It's just not worth taking.
I mean, also, it's like, I mean, think of it this way. If they could manipulate stuff in like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories run for the final 6, but they could only get it for, but they'd have to actually, you know, save state their way to figuring it out, do you think they would?
I don't know, the Forbidden Memory folks are scary. They're scary good.
I think they actually would, but at the same point, I think they would also be complaining the entire time.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that was kind of a given. I know that's personally me of like, anytime I'm like, alright, I gotta do this. Grumble. I'm like, alright, this is so difficult or tedious or whatnot, and then I do it, I'm like, alright, it was fine. No, it was fun. There's no problem, but boy, you heard me doing it the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, also, the sword that Tenchi uses is actually called the Sword of Light. Not to be confused with the one from Slayers. But this will take care of all 3 of them. And now we'll just have Ryoku buff up herself. Tenchi's gonna wait, Ryoku's gonna wait, and Watsu's gonna wait. We're gonna have them basically transform and then go in and just attack. We're gonna use Tenchi to move up a few spaces here so that we're just out of the range of enemy attacks. Essentially, Watsu is going to act as our healer because if you're wondering what the first green ability on that one is, that is actually a healing ability, which is one of the reasons why Watsu can tank the entire left side by herself.
Nice, healing support. I like it. That is a huge movement range.
Yeah. Not going to be a lot of damage, but I'll take it.
Quite a bit. Over half.
Yep, Watsu, we don't really need to transform her. Although you did used to see her transform ability a bit more. But at the same point, because of the way things are now, you don't really need it as much. Just gonna go in close just to make sure on that one. Just in case, honestly, it doesn't kill, then it's getting close enough to be able to smack them with whatever energy is left. Let me check something. Not sure of the range, but maybe. Yep, in range.
Just in range.
Was not sure of the range on that one. And once the enemy falls to their knees, and time.
GG.
Thanks. Thanks again for helping with providing commentary. And not bad. Only 3 minutes, you know, over current PB. Not bad for all the mistakes on that one, but overall, it just shows like how things can be, and you get to see how emotive the characters are in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
As I
All
said,
right, so as your co-commentator,
go
where
ahead.
can people find you? I know that you might have done this your last round, but where can people?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Mageius1. That's Mageius, and then just the number 1. And I do try to stream where I can, but I've also been a lot busy pretty much, here and there, so I try to stream where I can, but also you gotta love the stuff with that one, and just the anime aesthetics for that stuff.
Very 90s aesthetic, I love it.
But I'm glad that I was able to showcase this off. It's, a very fun run, and it's a run more people need to see. More people should check out. It's a good basic beginning, tactics RPG that's got cute anime characters, and think of it this way: what do you think would make would you say it actually makes a good beginners thing? And then how many RPG beginning RPGs can you say? Oh yeah, and it's based off of an anime. Especially
I've only got one anime speed. Yeah, I can being able to start off with the game like this. I think this kind of opens up the door. I'm here for it.
And as I said, they do complement the actual voice cast.
Good. We stand good credits.
Yep. I'll let them know whenever they need me to go. And hey, looks like I'll be able to actually get to watch the final for RPG Limit Break.
Nice.
They're just entering Lavos.
Ooh, I'm gonna go check that out.
I'll have to drop a donation.
Alright, I think the only thing left, if you don't care, is where people can find me if you want.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't mind. Plug yourself if you need to.
If you could stand my voice and you like hearing what I talk about, you can find me over twitch.tv/DerekGNC. Do a lot of speedruns as well. Nothing to this caliber, but we do a lot of speedruns and randomizers and speedruns of randomizers. And that's me.
I guess we'll pass it along to the next person. So, bye all.